Let's do this.
It's time for Hanging with Langan.
I like that she's got a big dirty mouth that gets her in trouble.
Wow.
Stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time.
Hey, you guys. Thanks for hanging with Langan. Coming up on the show, I have friends coming to us live from Africa. So excited. I met them through my travels as a comic and friends of friends. So once you meet one comic, they introduce you to others. And it's just, I don't know, that's the best part for me, of being a stand-up. I really, truly think I enjoy meeting people more and finding out more about people's lives and scratching the surface of who they are, how they live, versus I do like getting on stage, but I really think that's what I like the best. If you're just checking the show out for the first time, the goal here with Hanging with Langan is where curiosity meets comedy. Always fun, always smart. I was a journalist for many years, so I have that curiosity, and yet I'm not serious enough for all that BS. So we have to have laughs too. So it's that balance. And I will introduce you to these fine folk in a moment. We're now on all the platforms, all the podcast platforms, wherever you get your podcasts. What I want to say to you, I don't want to hate people, right? I don't want to hate people. They make me hate them. I start out loving everyone. It's what you do that causes me to hate you. I am a victim. I got to tell you, I was like shaking with rage the other day. I have been quarantining. I've gotten the deep testing, the PCR, whatever the heck it is, as deep as it can go with the COVID tests, isolating, getting these tests, staying in a bubble with my best friend and her husband and my parents. Okay, totally on top of it. Hand sanitizer wherever I go. Trader Joe's, $1.99. It's lovely. So, all right. I went to get my hair colored. I know I don't need to. I know it wasn't a pressing matter unless you had to look at yourself in the mirror. But I call the salon and I say, what are you doing? Are you social distancing? Are you doing the guidelines? Are you taking, going to great pains to make sure everything's cool? I love this hair salon. It's small. It's neighborhoody. No problem, Maury. No problem. Fine. This problem. I walk in. There's 4 people who work there, 3 customers in a small room. The door is closed. So I go, well, open the door, please. We need air. You have to have air. You need air. We need air. We have to have air circulating. One woman sitting there with the color on her hair. I don't want the door open. I don't want to be cold. I'm like, I know, but I don't want to die. Well, you're entitled. That's what you are. You're entitled. Like I am. Yeah, it's all about you, isn't it? It's all about you. I'm like, I don't know. I thought maybe it was about a killer pandemic. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was about. A killer pandemic, maybe. I don't know. So she's like, let me tell you. Oh, she was so rude. I start to shake. And I go, lady, this is just about health. I care about your health, my health. I don't. And then another woman chimes in. I'm with her. I'm cold. Why should we be cold because of you? It's 56 freaking degrees out. Put a scarf on. You'll be fine. I just couldn't understand. So I was shaking. I said to the salon owner, I'm out of here. I'm going. I'm out. I'm done. I'm not. I'll pay for the color if you mixed it. I'm not doing this. And on the way out, she's like, you know what? I haven't seen my daughter in a year. I don't think. Yeah, so I guess that has something to do. I go, well, let me tell you something, lady. You haven't seen your daughter in a year? Has nothing to do with the pandemic. It's because you are not likable. I didn't want to say that. She made me say that. I don't want to hate people. They make me hate them. And oh yeah, by the way, Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirts, MaureenLangan.com. I have the full store there. I have Don't Make Me Hate You masks. All of that you can get through the online store, MaureenLangan.com. And also, you guys, what I do is I bring you content that you can't get everywhere. That's what I try to bring you. I bring you comics from abroad. I bring you authors and academics and try to give you content that has value for you, because this is how we work these days. This is the new norm. And if you are so inclined and you would like to become a Patreon, you can go to patreon.com, Maureen Langan. And what you do is, if you want to have a monthly subscription beginning at just $5, you'll get access to all the videos. At $25, I will send you, at the Phyllis Diller level, I will send you a Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirt. At Dolly Parton, you'll get bonus episodes like Dish the Dirt, behind the scenes, stuff like that. I open up old interviews from my broadcasting days from the vault of some really cool people I've interviewed. So if you're so inclined, patreon.com. A few years ago, I somehow magically got invited to perform at the Johannesburg International Comedy Festival. I mean, I say magically because these things, you're like, how did this happen? And you can't believe it. But that's another story for another day. So I went with, it was international. So I worked with fellas from Boston and the UK, Johannesburg, Rome, Paris. And then I did a woman's show with these crazy gals. They were so much fun and they were so warm to me. I had to open the show. I was the MC. I'm like, oh my God, I got to go up first. I've never been to Johannesburg in my life. I don't know these women. They all know each other. I was so nervous. And I went up and did a very strong job for them. And then when I came off the stage, that was the warmth with which I was met and the love. So because I know these women, I get to meet other women. And so today, what I'm doing is I was on a symposium for a festival in Zimbabwe on Friday, because that's what I do. You go on symposiums in Zimbabwe. And there was a woman on the show, and I really liked her. Great energy, a comic from Zimbabwe. And her name is Munya, and she joins me now on Hanging with Langan. Hello, darling.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I know, I just met you the other day. I have a lot of questions. So if I sound ignorant on certain things, it's because I am. That's why I invite people who live different lives, so we can learn, right?
Sure.
First of all, what is the comedy scene like in Zimbabwe?
Yeah, so there's a few people working really hard, and it's all quite new, especially in terms of women. Mostly it's the women. I think Vikash has mentioned this as well in the symposium, that the women dominate like acting and skits and stuff online, but in terms of actual like stand-up performances, it's very much mostly the men. So we're trying to set up new things, but it's really hard because like people just don't really have disposable income to go to shows. So it's, everything just happens all at once at the end of the month in terms of all of the gigs, most of the gigs going on in the country, whether they be music or theater or whatever.
So you're talking even pre-pandemic, like even before the pandemic, people didn't have a ton of dough, so they would come out at the end of the month. That would be their big, when they got paid, their once a month day.
Yeah, so like end of month really is just the best time to have anything, and like we were really gaining momentum just before the pandemic hit.
All right, but okay, so you're in Zimbabwe. Are there let's pretend it's not COVID. So it's a pretty new art form. There's not a ton of comics, are there, or are there? I mean, in New York, there's 8 million. Everybody's a comic.
Yeah, I'd say we're like maybe less than 20. Especially like people who do it. Yeah, we're really, really few across the whole country. And in Harare, like the majority of them are in Harare. There's like a few in Bulawayo.
But what you're going past, people
like one or two.
You just mentioned the capital of Zimbabwe, which a lot of people may not know. You said Harare, right? Okay, so that's
yes.
See, this is what I'm saying. That's why I want to have you on here. A lot of people may not know the capital of Zimbabwe. Maybe they do.
Hey,
but
somebody once asked me where Zimbabwe was, and I was like, Southern Africa, and they're like, where is that? And I was like, I can't really be more specific than the literal cardinal direction of an entire continent. And then somebody else chimed in, they're like, yeah, I think I've heard of Zimbabwe. Malawi is the capital city, right? And I couldn't. Like,
it is hard, and because I always say when I travel to Europe and you watch, say, the BBC or any news, you're like, wow, there are countries, and there's a continent called Africa, and there's countries in there, because we are so cut off from any of that, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's like a culture of referring to us as a monolith, which is really weird because there's 54 countries, and it's huge. It's the second biggest continent. Like, it's ginormous.
Well, I always knew Zimbabwe used to be called Rhodesia. I don't know if it was Northern or Southern Rhodesia.
We were Southern Rhodesia.
And it was all Rhodesia, right? And then Zambia and Zimbabwe were North and South Rhodesia. But I understand Malawi used to be a part of that. I don't know.
Yeah, so it was the Confederation of Northern Rhodesia, Southern Rhodesia, and Nyasaland.
You lost me on that.
John Rhodes just, just owned all of it.
Well, tell them that the man's name was Rhodes, and he was British.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you hear Rhodes Scholarship, and you're like, well, where do you think that money came from? From exploiting my ancestors for their natural resources. That's how he set up that scholarship that lives till today. And all of these, like there's Rhodes University, in South Africa, like people just say the name Rhodes and you don't think about where that came from.
Mr. Rhodes, was it Cecil? What was his first name? The Rhodes
Yeah,
scholar.
Cecil John Rhodes. Yeah.
So Cecil John Rhodes came from Britain. I think he exploited the copper industry, right? In the area.
There's loads of copper in Zambia. Like it's called a copper belt. Actually, it's just a ton of copper there. So it was, yeah, mostly the copper, and like it started with the rest of imperialism, like with just cheap labor from using all of us as slaves, and then they also used to like ship in Indians. So like a huge population, like the Indian population in South Africa and Uganda, that's especially how they came in working on the railroads and stuff. And then that's how the controversy with Gandhi started, and people saying, oh, Gandhi, he fought for everybody. It's like, no, actually he fought for the Indians in Africa, but he said that the rest of us were dirty monkeys who deserve to live the way we live. So
wait a minute, Gandhi said that?
Yes,
Gandhi said
that Mahatma Gandhi was racist.
Gandhi said the Africans were dirty monkeys who deserve to what?
Yeah, he said he agreed with white people that we're like a different class of, like, we're not humans, and that we deserve to be governed over because we can't rule over ourselves. Like, there were letters he would write to the apartheid government, telling them to like end apartheid, but only for the Indians. Leave those black people where they are. So yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. I got to read this. This is mind-boggling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, not to you because you knew this.
It's awkward. It's incredibly awkward.
Munya is, you can follow her at Munya959 on the .coms, Instagram and Twitter. We're going to bring in now another comedian that I met last week. She is from Zambia, next to Zimbabwe. In case you're ever on Jeopardy or you need to phone a friend on Deal or No Deal, call me. At least I know those two things. All right, that's what I got. Hey, Fakacha, hello, welcome. Glad you can be here. Can you hear me, hon? You know what I'm going to do? I really love this Fakacha gal.
Hi, Munya. Can you hear me?
What we're going to do is we will bring her back on another time when we can really connect. But we do have a woman that I had the pleasure of meeting when I did the Johannesburg International Comedy Festival. I will tell you more about her, but let's meet her now. She's a comedy manager, and she's the founder and director of a foundation called Girls Killing It. So here we go. We got Nelsie Nakube. Hi, Nelsie. Let's get your mic on there, darling.
Yes, there we go. I muted it.
Thanks for being here.
No, thank you for having me. I mean, like, seeing you ladies, both of you, Munya and Maureen, 2 times in a row. That's amazing.
It's a good time.
Well, it's because of you that I know these women. And your husband's a comic, Carl.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I met Carl. This is the story I was going to tell you. I wanted to wait till we were together. I don't know if you remember, but he was there. I did a lot of research on Johannesburg before I went, and I found out that, according to my research, I could be wrong, there are 11 official languages, and some of them actually have clicks. So I said,
yes, in
Carl,
South Africa.
But that's true, right?
Yes.
So far, right. Okay. So I say to Carl, is that true, Carl? Some have clicks? And if so, could you, do you know? He goes, oh, yeah, I know. Yes, of course. And he starts going and doing some lang sounds, and I don't know. So I go, Carl, what did you just say? What does that mean? He goes, I have no idea. I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm not from South Africa. I just made that up. I go, oh, freaking got me, dude. When he least expect it. Great. So you're married to this comic, Carl Nakube, who's a very successful comic.
Yes.
You're managing him. I want to hear from you. What is the comedy scene like for you as a manager? Where is he working? Comedy isn't established like it is here in the United States. How are you? What is there to manage? Where are you going? Where's he going?
So, just like to give you a bit of background, when we started comedy, I mean, literally we were all learning. We literally were learning about comedy as we were going. So it was one of the funniest things because he did his first one-man show his first year as a comedian, which is crazy. You know this. I mean, I haven't been in comedy for a long time. It was crazy, but we had to learn about comedy, about the business of comedy, about running comedy as we're going along. And this was in 2010. So it's actually 10 years to next week. Next week is going to be 10 years in comedy. So when we started, we realized we needed to move to South Africa, which has a much more budding comedy scene. But what was beautiful was we were such novices. We moved to South Africa with like $150 and just a prayer and just excitement about this comedy thing and wanting to learn. Just packed up our bags, got onto a bus, moved to South Africa,
From Zimbabwe.
and we got our from Zimbabwe, and we were given our first gig by a gentleman called Joe Parker. Joe Parker runs the longest and the first ever stand-up comedy club in South Africa. So he gave us our first opportunity, virtue of an email. So, and we were being paid something like 800 Rand, and we were so excited. 800 Rand at that time was something like 20 bucks or 30 bucks or something. But we were so excited. And we stayed there for about 2 years. And the comedy scene in South Africa taught us so much because Joe, as a person who was a comedian and he runs an establishment, really sat us down and taught us about the business of comedy, stage time, just a whole lot of things about comedy that, I mean, he's a wellspring of information that even up until now, he's still one of the people that still we go back to just to make sure we're in line. And then we came back to...
Oh, sorry. Where in South Africa was the club? In Johannesburg?
Johannesburg at the Monte Casino, at Monte Casino. So it's been running there for, oh, wow, decades, hey? I think everybody pretty much has passed through there. Your Trevor Noahs, Lois Ogolas, and a lot of even American comedians and foreign comedians. Everybody wants to do a gig at Joe Parker's, and you get put up on the wall and stuff. So that's where you have to do a gig there.
Well, I have to say, when I was in Johannesburg, I found it effervescent. It felt like electricity, you know, those soda water bubbles in the air. It just felt so alive. And it reminded me a lot of Brooklyn, New York, because you'd have like a wooden storefront painted green and then a big high rise black windowed building and a really cool feed. And then this the whole thing was just magic to me. Now, where else is he going? Where are these other clubs in the country or out of the country?
So what we ended up doing was realizing, it's just the journey has been long. So early on when we started, we also started setting up some comedy clubs in Zimbabwe. So we used to run like nightly comedy gigs and stuff, exactly like Munya said, where we speak to owners of venues and we would run comedy gigs, because one thing we've always understood is comedians need stage time. So you can't always be doing the big gigs. So you need the stage time. So when we still had energy, we actually used to, at one point, I think we're running something like 4 comedy clubs at a time during a week, which was crazy when I think about it now. And then I think there were only a few comedians. I mean, it's 20 now, which is incredible. And you've got Munya, a female, which is even more incredible. I've been waiting for this time for so long. So we did run a couple of comedy clubs. And then somewhere along the line, we realized we also needed to get more stage and more different audiences. Zimbabwe is pretty small. So we had been doing the South Africa run, which we do pretty much yearly. But then I then started organizing tours in Southeast Asia. We got gigs in Australia. Carl did New York. He did Gotham Comedy Club in New York. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Which is
I would have gone to see him.
It was fantastic. It was very early on. I mean, we really got a lot of good. He did so amazing. We got a lot of milestones very early on, and so we performed all over Africa. We also started performing all over Africa. We met comedians in Uganda. I think you remember Patrick Salvador, who was also starting at the same time. Started performing with Basketmouth, one of the biggest artists in Nigeria. Met other female comedians from Nigeria, Uganda, because they used to run this comedy fest called there was Stand Up Africa, which was in South Africa. Then they used to have the Night of 1,000 Laughs. this is one of the biggest African comedy gigs, and it spans over 3 or 4 countries. Hey, so you get booked and you're going to Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya type thing, and you get like audiences of like 10,000, 8,000 people.
Ah, this sounds
So this
magic.
is how, yeah, so this is what we were doing with Carl. And so he got to perform on all these stages. But really, a lot of it was realizing that we needed stage time for him, and he needed different audiences to test all his materials. And just really writing to a lot of these people and just saying, hey, Carl Joshua Ngube is Zimbabwean stand-up comedian. We'd love to perform here. In some cases, we're being referred. So we really started touring very, very early on in his career. And even up until now, we did Mexico last year. We're going back to Southeast Asia. We're going to do Japan and stuff. So we pretty much decided that every year we were touring around the world. So that's pretty much where we get all the comedy gigs. Is the first half of the year I'm planning the tours, and then the last half, pretty much from July all the way to the end of the year, we're always touring. Just trying to find new platforms, and comedians around the world are so gracious. We're meant to be with you this year, Maureen, in the
I
US.
know.
We were coming back, but COVID.
Where were you going to go?
Yeah.
Where you guys were going to just tour the US?
So this, yes, we were going to do the US, was we were going to be there for about 2 months. So we had started setting up a number of gigs because we're supposed to be there in October and November. And then we were also going to be doing the United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi, Oman, Dubai itself. And then we were also doing in Southeast Asia. We hadn't done countries like Vietnam and what is it? Those Vietnam, I can't remember, Cambodia, because I always wanted to go there. So some of the
where haven't you been?
Yeah.
You have that map at home. I think that Munya and I are looking at you like, please manage us, right?
Right.
Manage us. Wonderful. But all right, English is taught at all the schools. Yes, right. That is generally yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm gonna geek out a bit because this is actually like my dissertation topic. I'm a linguistics student. So we're most of us are simultaneous bilinguals. So you get taught English and either like Shona or Ndebele, or Chindao, Tonga, whatever it is at home. And then when you go to school, they instruct you in English because imperialism. So people have varying degrees.
Imperialism.
I mean, it is. Like, people be like, why do you speak such good English? And I'm like, I don't know, ask your ancestors. Like, I wasn't.
Mr. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is both, like, official like state communication will be in English, billboards, TV, a lot of that stuff will be in English, even like online and stuff, but people do still speak a lot of Shona in like I would say like northeastern kind of, and then Ndebele is more like southwestern. Like that's like a very vague description of like
Okay. But I don't even know what those languages are. How about that? How I don't even know what you just said. I don't even know what they are. It's like I'm just told you I'm going to be. Do they sound similar? Is it like different dialects of the same type of language, or are they like Russian and English?
So with a lot of Bantu languages, it is quite similar. So I would say Shona is more similar to Kiswahili. There's a lot of overlap with that. And then, again, there's still overlap with Shona and Ndebele, but Ndebele is very much closer to Zulu. Because...
This didn't help me at all.
Sorry. Okay, so you know the opening song of The Lion King?
Yes.
That is Zulu, even though they like kind of try to set it in Kenya. But anyway, that is Zulu. So Ndebele sounds like that. And then the rest of The Lion King, all the other songs, especially Lion King 2, those are Swahili. So Shona kind of sounds like that.
But what I'm trying to get at is, because you grow up with different types of languages among groups of people, and here English is, the businesses and the school. When you travel, how does your comedy work? Because I'm American. When I have performed in, Switzerland or South Africa or just something like here as an American, a woman who's older would call her little boy toy, she's a cougar. It would be, she's a cougar, right? And there, they said the young boy, call him a Ben 10,
Yes.
right? A Ben 10, right? Nelsie, how does Carl adjust to that? If he's going to Japan.
So being Zimbabwean, here's an interesting thing. Being Zimbabwean, we pretty much know a lot about a lot of things in a lot of countries. That's something you should know about Zimbabweans generally, is that as a people, we are very globally versed. Like, we can have conversation about what's happening in America. We can tell you about what's happening in Kenya. We can tell you about what's happening in South Africa. Even the content that we consume on our local television. I mean, we were colonized by the British, so I mean, we're as British as they come to some extent, sadly. We know tea and crumpets, so we understand that kind of humor. Then we also understand the American kind of humor. So when we travel, you do find...
Which is what? How
Yes?
would you describe the American humor?
I think it depends which section of the world you are. So you could be watching Martin. There's the Martin slapstick type humor, Will Smith. Then you've got your Adam Sandlers. Then you've got your Ben Stillers. Then you've got your Dave Chappelle's. But within your comedy rom-com, your guys, my understanding, your type of comedy is either slapstick or very deep or general. So we...
Yeah. I like the deep slapstick. Oh, go ahead.
No, but you have sections of it, yeah.
And Munya, being a fairly new comic, how are you finding? You're getting out of Zimbabwe? Are you making adjustments when you go to different cities or towns?
This is amazing. Like, I get to say this. Oh, girl. So yeah, my actual excitement. Yes, I just come back from Kenya. Sorry, I'm just
From Kenya?
I have just come back from Kenya. Yeah, so when we got there, like you're saying, there's just so many similarities. You get stuck in this like Zimbabwean bubble of oppression, then you get out there and you're like, okay, people are people everywhere. There's oppressive governments everywhere. There's struggling millennials everywhere. We can all relate to the same thing. So yeah, like there are a few bits that we did like translate into Swahili, which wasn't like that difficult because it's so similar to Shona. And the things they were laughing at and the things I was laughing at. And yeah, like immediately you get in there and yeah, you just sort of pick up what they're laughing at, but also, like I said, I'm still learning, right? So sometimes I'm like, I don't necessarily want to try it something completely new and start making jokes about being there. So like, I'll keep some of my old stuff that I know works in Zim, but then I'll also work in...
Zim means Zimbabwe if you're just tuning in. Okay. There's Zimbos.
Yeah, no one in Zimbabwe has time to say Zimbabwe. Nobody has it. Like, it's like my name. I don't have time to say Munyaradzi. I just say like, we don't have that.
Well, when you say, what is your full name?
Munyaradzi, that's my full first name, which means someone who comforts you. And then Munya for short.
Comes at you?
Somebody who comforts you. Like if you're...
Oh, comfort. There's to come at you. Whoa.
Sorry.
All right. Okay. Wait. Say. Okay. I'm gonna not interrupt. Say your full name again. Go.
Munyaradzi. That's it. Yeah.
And the last name?
Oh, sorry. My whole. Gramatunu.
Munya, everybody. It's Munya. Try finding her on Facebook. Just Google. Just go, what is the longest name humanly possible on Facebook, and you'll find her. How many Americans do you encounter in your comedy world in Africa? I don't mean going to Mexico or Asia. I mean in Zimbabwe, in Zambia, in Kenya. I'm talking about you have Americans in the audience, not comics performing.
Oh, many. Oh gosh, many. Oh, many. Even in Zimbabwe. Oh gosh, many, plenty. In Zimbabwe, we have. I mean. Okay, so here's an interesting thing, and this is something that a lot of people don't realize, and you kind of forget it when you tour. So, because think about it this way: there is an embassy in pretty much every country. There's an English-speaking community or diplomatic community in every every country.
You know what I want to do? Focaccia looks like she has a connection now. Let's bring her in. She's a comedian from Zambia, and we're going to have her, and we want to just say hello to her. Hello, darling. You're back.
I'm back.
Can we
I'm
hear
back.
you? Sure.
Baby Kacha.
Hi,
I was so
hi.
excited to have you, and I know you had some tech issues, but what we'll do is I'll totally have you back to join us for another show. But I just wanted to have a few minutes with you because everybody's like, "Where are you?" I'm getting all these great messages, and people love you. So
Oh,
she's here, you guys. And also, too, if you're watching this, follow me, Maureen Langan, on Facebook. Follow me because I'm going to be posting this. You'll find out where you can see it. And also, my website is Maureen Langan. So this way, you'll be able to see all these. We'll put them up, and you'll know when Focaccia's coming back for a fuller interview. But listen, you're like I was very impressed with you because you have a lot of confidence and self-respect. You're a young woman on that stage, and I like, there was this positive, wonderful message you were sharing when we were on a symposium last week. So talk to me about like your philosophy getting on stage and how that feels for you, and then, wanting that support and giving that out to others.
well, it's always nerve-wracking getting on stage. I've never gotten on stage feeling all confident without the nerves. So I'm always having the nerves, and I'm always being taught to say it's okay to feel nervous when you get on stage. When you create the bond with the audience, then you're good to go. So every time I'm feeling nervous, I'm always telling myself that when I get on stage and have the bond with the audience, then I'm good to go. So it's always nerves after nerves, and when you're done, you're like, oh yes, it's done. Oh my god. And when you have something like a standing ovation, you're like, oh Jehovah, come soon.
Oh, Jehovah. So funny. And you're a pretty newbie at this, right? How long have you been doing stand-up?
I started doing stand-up in 2018.
Brand new.
So that's like, yeah.
One thing you said that I really liked, well, you said many things I really liked, because there's no clubs, as Nelsie, and when you're talking about in Zambia and Zimbabwe, that you're like, I will bring the laughter where it needs to go. And talk to me about where you've been performing.
Okay, so basically I've done most of my shows in Lusaka, the capital city of Zambia. Then the only town I've traveled to perform is Copperbelt, the other bigger town in Zambia. I haven't performed in any other town apart from Lusaka and Copperbelt. And outside Zambia, I've performed in Botswana. So yeah, basically that. But all my shows, like countless shows I've done them from Lusaka, the capital city of Zambia. Yes.
And I was watching the two. I couldn't play your clips because I got cut off of Facebook because somebody made a Trump joke they didn't like. It was terrible. They banned me. I'm going to play Munya's clip without the punchline, and then you can say the punchline without the N-word, okay? So then I'm going to. This is insanity. This is what we do, folks, because Big Brother's always watching. We can't speak freely anymore. I guess you can say we could say that word, but you will never work again. So here's Munya's setup. You can say that word freely in Africa.
We use it as much. They use it as much as people in America and black people in other countries use it. In Africa, maybe I'm wrong, ladies, but I don't think we use it as often because kind of for us the connotations are not as light as people do in the first world countries. So people do it, but we don't use it as a general conversation.
Oh, okay, because I'm like, I don't use that word. All right, anyway, I don't even want to see that. I don't even want to say that country in Africa called Niger. It's too close.
Yes, exactly.
I just go, oh, that's a country. I don't even say that country's name. I'm too scared.
You're okay.
Yeah,
Niger, but it's got a nice name.
Niger.
I'm calling it
Exactly.
I don't say. country. Here's the setup. And hold on, here we go.
I don't. And like the same kind of like strictness and arrogance and like 2 steps forward, but then like 6 steps back applies with like marriage and things. So Zim recently passed a law that for Rora, you no longer need like the full price of Rora to be paid for you to be able to like get married and join your matrimonial home. So people will be like, oh, Rora is supposed to be depreciation. But then when you translate it to English, people just say bride price. Let's just accept that we're selling our children. And that's fine. People have been selling their daughters all over the world in all the cultures. You know, like in Europe, you used to like sell your daughter for like an alliance with your kingdom or something. Closer to home, you sell your daughter for like, I don't know, a goat. Sometimes, whatever's more value to you at the time. But it just doesn't make sense to me that I have to like be wifey material.
You have to be wifey. That's just the setup. And then you said you have to be wifey material. What's the punchline, Munya, without using the N word? Go. You have to
like,
create a home.
I think I say, yeah, like I have to. The man is supposed to build a house, but the woman's supposed to build a home.
Instead, you didn't go, hey, my husband. You were like, hey, and I'm supposed to make a home, and you can't even build it. Then build a house. I was like, okay, and we're can't. Like, all right. And you, Vakacha, I'll show a little clip of you. I did not use the longer one, but it was funny though. So let me show you a little TikTok clip of this. Here we go. I'm going to play it twice so that. Because I said to her, I think I figured out the end, which I did, but we're going to play it twice to be sure.
These rings you put on your husband's fingers, eh? You think you're happily married. These are the rings they use to open borders for us single ladies in the club.
Cute you are. Okay. So we'll play it one more time. The ending is these are the rings they use to open beer bottles in a club. Correct? I feel like I'm on a game show. Can you
I love it.
Punchline.
These rings you put on your husband's fingers, eh? You think you're happily married. These are the rings they use to open borders for us single ladies in the club.
Very good, very good. You got a strong stage presence, Missy, for doing it for 3 weeks.
Oh, thank you.
And of course, you do. I mean, you take the stage. You know, it's great. That's a lot of it. Is that confidence on there, the fake it till you make it kind of thing. I noticed 2 things about your comedy clubs because I was watching them before you came on. Munya, you talk about this. I want to get the word right. The bride price, the vortex, what is the word? Maybe I'm
Lobola. Aurora.
I don't know. Oh, I thought it was some kind of trader.
Lobola.
There's a trader. What kind of a forex? A forest? What? There's a forex trader.
Yes, forex traders. Yes. It's a bunch of young boys who, drunk the Kool-Aid of capitalism. And they like look down on other people for maybe like buying. It's basically what it is you know how like in the States they say millennials are poor because they're buying avocado toast instead of buying houses. Forex traders are that, but like they're just as unemployed and broke as you are, but they'll look down on you for like not trading stocks.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, the money guys, the big swinging dicks. Though what I love though is that you have a translator in the bottom corner for sign language for your set, and you're talking about dicks, and I'm like, I gotta watch what he's gonna do when she says these words. I watch it like 3 times. I'm like, what is he doing when she? And by the way, you guys, I will put the full video of both of them on my Patreon page, so that because that's a private page, you have to subscribe to that for $5 a month, starting at that. I will put those up fully so they can see. It's not bad at all. It's just the N word is in there lightly. It's N light. N light. That's insane. So if you go to Patreon, Maureen Langan patreon.com/Maureen Langan. I'll put those clips up as bonus clips starting at a $10 level. And I like people to know that Patreon is the way I bring these great shows to you so that I can keep content like this coming. And you can start at $5, and at the Dolly Parton level, 10, you'll get the bonus clips. At 25, the Phyllis Diller, you'll get a Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirt. So it's all good. Patreon.com/Maureen Langan. And it'll all be up on my website, MaureenLangan.com. And I want you to like Facebook page because I'm going to have these gals back because I've never gone this long on a show. I usually have it out in 45 minutes. But I'm it, and I'll go do a lot of work because I like you gals. So what I noticed is you talk about the bride price. Now, again, I don't know these things. Is there really such a thing today? Or is that a joke? I mean, I know it's a joke, but is there still this kind of matrimonial financial?
Yeah, for sure. And
Tell me about that.
is that like a lot of Zimbabwean people are like very Christianized to the point where they believe that Christian culture is their own culture. But because the society is led by a bunch of greedy men, they just conveniently leave that part of the culture in there because they like like I mentioned, like, you know, they've had a girl child and they're expecting money from her, like when they ship her off. So it's
ship her off. Where are they shipping her?
To her husband's house.
Wait, no, come on. This is for real? No.
Well, like what it is, right? You guys have symbolically when your father walks you down the aisle, right?
Right.
So that's what it is, except instead of lasting about 10 seconds, the process of it lasts, depending on how mean the girl's family is and like what they're demanding. It can last like a day or a few days. So what it is basically, what traditionally is supposed to be is just because you're moving from your father's home to your husband's home. So they're saying like, thank you for raising this beautiful woman, and like we can't compensate for the loss you're about to experience, but here's just a token of appreciation. And like most of that food, that like there's food and there's money, and traditionally like there's cows because that's what have value for us. That food is just to like pay for the party kind of thing that you guys are about to have. But you know, now it becomes, with the economy and stuff, it becomes a money grab, and I've heard of people paying with cars. I've heard of people like demanding like grocery for like the whole family and everything. So that's basically what it is. It's supposed to be an appreciation. It turns into, so like basically you're not allowed to have a white wedding. You're not allowed to go to the husband's home before that has been done.
So really what it is a gift to the family as part of this wedding arrangement thing. But what do you call that?
Yeah, so just Rora, but people will translate.
Say it slower.
Sorry, Rora. So ROORA.
Okay.
Or Lobola, which is LOBOLA. That's in
bride price. And now, so you're shaking your head. Is this something that just happens in certain areas? It's not as modern. It's like less modern households. Or what is it? Or did you not get a goat? Or what happened? You didn't get a cow? What happened when you married Carl? Did anybody give you anything? Or you give anybody anything?
Okay. So I mean, what Munya says is true, but let me give you this. Let me give it to you like this. So in English, it's called a dowry. Right? It's a dowry.
Yeah,
so it's our culture.
Yeah, it was 1812.
A dowry. Yeah, but the thing is, it just depends where you look at it, and I completely agree that the essence of the culture itself is actually very good. The behind aspect of it was very good, because it literally was when a dowry was paid, it was a family coming together, meeting each other. So the husband's side, the boyfriend side would come meet the girl's side. There'd be negotiations, and dowry really pretty much was to make sure that this young man who wants to marry our daughter was able to take care of her, right? Mm-hmm. And the whole procedure was so we'd know each other. And the giving of in Zimbabwean culture, depending on which culture, whether you're Shona or you're Ndebele. On a side note, by the way, Shona is not even a culture. It's a westernized version. There's no such thing as Shona within our people. It's just something the colonizers came and said, okay, we're just going to group these people and call them Shona. But that's a story for another day.
Yes, another day. There's a lot to know.
Yeah. So depending on so for example, I come from a Shona background and Carl comes from the Ndebele, the clicking people. Side.
He does not.
So dowry was meant to yeah, he grew up Shona, so it's a problem. So the dowry was really meant as a way for families to come together. So there are all these cultural norms, but sadly, like Munya said, over the years, one, we haven't kept record of the whole procedure, and people have, I mean, I believe they've bastardized it so badly that they've made it much more harder for people who genuinely want to follow the cultural norms. Like she said, there are people who say, I want a car for my daughter, or I want this for my daughter, and yet dowry was just a way of bringing families together. So that's the unfortunate thing. But the true essence of it was a very beautiful thing. When it's done right, dowry is it's not a bride price where you're just selling your daughter, because there's actually a thing in the culture that says, I'll say it in Shona, mukwasha hapere kujigiwa. So you don't actually finish pay. It means you don't, the bridal price should never be finished. You should never, he should never pay it in full, because if you paid in full, it's as though you're saying, I don't want anything to do with your family. So it's paid partly. So there are things about it that have been bastardized over the years, and I agree. And sadly, and I'll tell you this, for Carl and I, we didn't even do the bridal price, because we had 8 parents between us our parents were divorced and remarried, and they all couldn't agree. And we were getting older, and we wanted to get married, and they just couldn't agree, so we ended up eloping. Do you know what I mean? So,
well, let me ask you this, Vikachi, because you're recently out of school. Do you see yourself as doing this bride price thing, or is that only for certain generations or certain families or certain cultures? Is that something you would do? Because I know you're on the bus looking for a really rich man in your act.
Of course. That's a very done in Africa. It's something I would say I don't see myself doing it, but culture demands that it's done. So in as much as I would want to sway, I know the family would demand, because of it's not just the belief, but the fact that is there, that they have groomed me, taken me to school, educated me, so another family can just come and take me away just like that. Yeah.
So, but forgive me again, but like I know, Nelsie, you and Carl are in love. I love your pictures. I love everything you post on Instagram. It's so positive and happy. But you're going to choose, Vikachi, who you marry, right? Or is your family picking for you?
Yeah, of course.
All right, so you pick who you love, but then out of a respect, the family does these things. It's like, I respect your daughter.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, I guess it would be kind of like if you, like in a Western culture, like if you guys go out for dinner as like the bride and groom, and then the
engagement,
sort of like expect the groom to pay for the dinner. Like you're just putting him through, like he's got to impress you guys and prove that he's able to, build a life and take care of.
It's symbolic of respect to the family, and that we have enough resources to have a good life together. So it's been
yes.
Is it ingrained in the entire culture? Is this just a Zimbabwe and Zambia thing, or is it like spread far and wide?
Africa.
Oh,
Africa. Yeah, Africa. It's I would say it's an African tradition. You heard when you said we call it the white wedding. You heard of when she said the white wedding? Yeah. The white wedding is when we've adapted the colonial version of wedding, which is pretty sad, where we want to all dress in a white dress without context of understanding these things. So we've kind of thrown away what a marriage or a wedding was within our African context, and adapted, and we've actually literally called it the white wedding. So you have the dowry process where the families come together, and like Vikachi said, is that even when you choose your husband or you choose your spouse, but to honor your family, you will do that process, because in our culture, you're not just marrying your spouse, you're marrying his family, his extended family. And in Africa, we have this. We have extended families. So for the sake of harmony, you will do it. But like I said, for us, it's just that we were much older when we got married, and we did take the decision to not do the dowry, but not because we didn't want to do it, but because we had 4 grown adults who couldn't agree on anything, and we were keen on starting our life together. But I mean, fast forward, they've accepted it because we're much older. So either way, whatever decision you make, whether you want to do the dowry price or you don't want to do it, it can still be done in a way that honors your family, because I think that's very important for our culture, to honor our families, to honor ourselves when we do these things, because that's what makes us African.
Let me ask you this. I wanted to get back to Vikachi on this because I know we didn't have a lot of time with you, but you will come back. And I'm going to teach all of you what an Ethernet connection is, because then you can be on far and wide wherever you are with confidence. Yes, so when you get married, what kind of thing would you expect? Because you said you're educated. What would your family? They're saying cows are a big deal, but what if you live in the city? What are you going to do with a cow? Where are you going to put that? I mean, no, ain't nobody got a place for a cow. I mean, like, what would you expect from your beloved? Or, right? Yes. What kind of thing's your family? Like, what would your mother and father? That's all he got? I mean, you're kidding me. That's all the family's given us? I just turned into an Upper West Side person.
Mostly, it's not like the family of the groom decides what they're supposed to give you, what they're supposed to pay. It's my family that tells the groom's family what they're supposed to get. So if they say we want 10 cows and we're in the city, you have nowhere to put the cows or keep the cows, they will convert the 10 cows into money. So they'll bring the money.
Symbol of her. So this is true. Like, here I was teasing a bit, but really this cow is a really big symbol of income, respect, generosity. Oh my gosh! I honest to God, I find this so fascinating, and I said early on, forgive my ignorance, because the only way we learn about people and culture is to ask questions that might sometimes be like, Maureen, of course it's a cow. What the hell do you think it was? It's cows. It's all about cows. Like, how would my mother's from a farm in Ireland. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. She didn't get any cows when she married my father, but they were in New York. So who knows? You gals, I know you were so wonderful to be with me today. And Fakasha, you'll come back, because I know that you're doing some great stuff to help gals and girls and women. And I know you two are Nelsie, and I want to talk about the foundations you're doing. So I'd like to do that when we have more time, because we've already gone like a half hour longer. But you're all 3 my friends for life now. You're stuck with me. And I see us all going on an African tour, and then we'll head over to Cambodia, Japan. We don't know where. There's a lot of stuff for us to do. I want to give everybody out their social media. I want people to follow me. You guys, I will put all of this information up on my website, MaureenLangan.com. You'll be able to see their podcast there once I edit this up, and you can see their full video. I promise I would put their clips on Patreon, my Patreon account, patreon.com/Maureen Langan. I guess I should get out that logo there so that you can see the full name. You know what, you guys? I'm like a one-man band, and this is a lot on Maureen Langan. Do you have any idea? All right, so MaureenLangan.com. If you do at the $25 level, what will you do for me, Maureen? Well, I will send you a Don't Make Me Hate You t-shirt. Damn right I will. It's over my here. It'll look like that. I have them in all sizes. Or you can get masks, t-shirts, coasters. It's all happening here. So let's give you their social media. We have Nelsie Nakube at Nelsie Nakube. That's on Instagram and Twitter, right? And
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
All right, and we're going to get your husband Carl on here soon. Talented man.
Yes.
Nancy Focaccia, do tell your social media.
Yeah, that's Nancy Vikacha. That's Facebook, and then Instagram at Nancy Vikacha 2, Twitter Nancy Vikacha, tagline Vikacha International.
And then we got Munya. Let me get hers up here. Go ahead, darling.
Yeah, just Munya959 on Twitter and Instagram. It's my full name on Facebook, but
just search.
You don't need that effort. I don't need that.
Search Munya, the longest name ever found in the world, and that will be her.
Yeah,
You
just
know, I
copy paste it if you want to find the Facebook.
Yeah, and you'll find, it's on my Facebook account too, all the information. I feel so honored that you all took the time to be here with me today. And I feel really lucky to know all of you. And a special thanks to you, Nelsie, because without you, I would not know so many wonderful people that I do. So thank you. It's true, it's true. All right, I'm going to put you guys in the green room for a moment. Okay, well, I promote Thursday's show, you guys, on Thursday. Joining me will be Debbie Casper. She was a writer for Rosie O'Donnell and for the Roseanne Show. She wrote a book, You're Not That Pretty, and other things my parents told me. Hey, she grew up in New Jersey like I did, and I've never met her. But the other comics are like so excited I'm having her on, as am I, of course. So I'm looking forward. Debbie Casper, Hanging with Langan, Thursday. We'll do that at 1 o'clock on Facebook Live Eastern Time. But everything will be up on all the .com platforms, MaureenLangan.com for all the information you need. And I am so glad that you all came to watch today. And what else? Enda, thank you so much. Until we meet again, bye, wig.